Sorry for that. Just a second late. Trying this little login issue here, but thank you so much. As you know, we're here every single Wednesday um, at 11 o'clock Pacific time, 2 o'clock East Coast time. And today, what we're going to discuss is annuities, as far as where if you have clients who are coming to you not happy with the rate of returns they're getting, doesn't mean that you necessarily sold them the annuity. Let me explain to you my background before I got into life settlements here. The issue is that I was selling mainly annuities for a good decade or so, about $5 to $8 million a year. So I was a top producer, mainly through dinner seminars and contacts. And I would sit down with people who would come to one of my dinner seminars and sit down with them, and they would literally pull out an old annuity and go, "Hey, here's my old annuity. I bought it from somebody 3 years ago. I don't really understand how it works." And I would like to get out of this thing. I'm just not happy. The rates of return are low. Is there any way to get me out? And the surrenders were usually so high that I really couldn't move them over. Now, there's a lot of people in that space who will say, well, you could use a bonus annuity to get them out to pay for that surrender. But if you're really going to be honest with yourself, and I'm not bashing annuities, I'm not bashing people who sell them. I have a lot of friends in the industry who do, and they're good people and they do right by their clientele. But if your answer is to get somebody out of an annuity with low rates of return and long surrender tie-ins, and your solution is to move them into another annuity, you're not doing these people any favors. You know that you're putting them in the same product just with a different carrier. Sure, you might be able to show them that this new product has some slight variation to where they could get a slight higher rate of return, but you're just creating the same problem with them down the road. They're going to be coming to you not happy 3 years later when they're not seeing these market-like gains that you talk about, when we both know that that's not really how annuities work, right? They can say that, like in a certain year, you might see a 8% return or a 9% return in annuity, but I can guarantee you that that's not going to last over an annuity. Most annuities are set up in the way that your clients at best might be making 4, 5, I mean, maybe 6% over the lifetime of that annuity. And I'm not talking about the income rider, I'm talking about just straight up accumulated value. So we need to come up with a better solution, and that's what we have here today. So, um, what I want to talk about here, and let me get my stuff set up. I apologize. We just came on a little late here, like a login issue, nothing big here. But I want to show you what we do at our company to mitigate that situation. And what it is really is that we have a product here where we're going to pay the surrender fee. So you heard that right. We're going to pay the surrender fee, and your client is going to be able to move their money and see a higher return than they've seen before. So let me pull this up. Let me share my screen, and we will get started on this. And if any of you have any questions, please feel free to jump in at any time. You should be able to see this on your screen. Please let me know if you don't, but that's where I'm screen sharing. So, how does this program work? Let's walk you through. So let's take an example of somebody. We'll call him the angry annuity owner. Yes, I'm being a bit dramatic. And we call him John Smith. He's got a $200,000 annuity, and he comes to me and he says, "Hey, I'm not happy. I'm seeing low returns. I thought this thing was going to make 7, 8%, or stay with the S&P, and over time, I'm seeing that that's just not true. I'm getting, I've got a bunch of riders attached to this thing. I'm being charged 1% over here for an income rider, so it's taking away from my accumulated value. At the end of the day, I'm maybe seeing a 4% return." He's got a 10-year surrender period and he's got a $20,000 surrender. So he's kind of like, there's nothing I can do. I'm not happy about this thing. And psychologically, he just doesn't want to be in this anymore, right? He just hates the idea. He wants to get rid of it as soon as he can. So he's feeling stuck and frustrated. Well, that's where I can come in and help where other people can't. And we want you to join with us in this situation so you can do this for your client base or people that you meet. So again, John Smith, $200,000 annuity, $20,000 surrender. If he was to leave tomorrow, that would leave him with $180,000 in surrender value, correct? Now, if they just left the annuity, that's what they're going to do. They're going to take a $20,000 loss, and you know that's a mortal sin. You should never be losing money in annuities. Or they can go ahead and move the 180 and then go into another annuity. That's the solution for anyone who's selling annuities. And as I said, you're just kicking the can down the road for problems for people down the road where ultimately they're just going to wind up coming to you 3 years later when you promised them the world in the annuity and what it would do for them. And they're also saying, yeah, but I'm not seeing the results. So trust me, you're going to wind up just getting a disgruntled client if all you're doing is bonus annuities and just churning them over and over and over. So here's our transfer strategy. You take $180,000 of the transfer and you put it with us with life settlements where your clients are going to buy into other people's life insurance policies. Day one, we're going to give them a bonus. Okay. So we will go ahead and give them in real cash $20,000 into the account. So now they have $200,000 invested day one, the same value as the original annuity. So they literally did not lose a dollar from this transfer. Now, by moving themselves from an annuity to what we do, we're going to show you why they have much more possible upside by working with us than they would if they just sat in the annuity, right? The $200,000 is going to be invested into life policies. That is where you are buying policies on elderly insured people with health conditions. On average, these are people 75 to 85 years old with an average life expectancy of about 3 to 6 years. Okay. So that's what we do. We take the 200,000, their 180 on the surrender value, plus the 20 that we bonused back to them. And rather than having it in some one lump sum that we've got to wait 10 years, making 3 or 4% like with an annuity, they're now going to be able to put that as bits and pieces in multiple policies on elderly people. And when those people pass away, they're going to get paid. So it's a much better structure as far as potential of higher returns and at the same time more payout opportunities coming most likely on a faster timeline. So in this case, the $200,000 purchase is about $450,000 in death benefit ownership. Your clients are actually owning these policies. Their $200,000 is going to go across to buy different policies. The multiple life insurance policies, elderly insureds with health conditions. And before your client ever comes in to do this, of course, we're going to have the full life expectancy reports for your client and for you to review. Your client isn't just going in blind on this. We are experts in what we do here. We help them pick the policies that they want that have the best potential of paying out on time. So let's look at the difference here. Historically, life settlements have returned double-digit returns. Matter of fact, there was a study that showed that the ultra wealthy, Warren Buffett owns a lot of policies. There are also big banks that do. They're averaging about a 12% compounded APR over the life of the time that they have invested. We can say from our companies that we've worked with, we have seen people making a decent double-digit return. In fact, last year with my client base, we paid out over $5 million last year to investors, and the average APR last year was easily over 15% compounded APR. Now, I can't say that that's going to happen every single year, but it gives you a little window into how things have been going so far. Okay. With the annuity, you're going to see about a 3 to 5% average return on the accumulated value. So what we're showing you here is that historically, life settlements will outproduce an annuity by about 2 to 4 times, right? So number one is you're giving your client a chance to make more money while moving the money over and getting away from the annuity trap. So here's a comparable example. $200,000 goes in a life settlement. The client gets paid out $450,000 estimated in the payout. That time frame again could be about 3, 6, 8 years, as opposed to with an annuity. If you made about 3 to 4% on that after 10 years, your 200 grand is going to be about $290,000. You can see that's a vast difference of easily over $150,000. So here's the hold time comparison, which is also equally. If you're going to look at, so we just showed you how your client has much more upside potential to make money working with us than just doing the same old annuity routine. With life settlements, the other part that's great is that they're getting multiple payout opportunities, right? Because if they own two, three, four, five different policies, those are all going to come due at different times. And then your client gets paid out on each of those every single time those policies mature. As opposed with the annuity, it's just one lump sum payout. Yes, they can take their 10% free withdrawals, but ultimately the idea is they're going to be sitting on this thing for 10 or 15 years before they may have access to all of their funds. While with a life settlement, you're going to get paid out over time. You might get paid out in 2 years on one, on another one in 4 years, maybe another one in six. And again, you're most likely going to see returns that are 2 to 4 times higher than what's in the annuity. The other idea here too is insurance carriers security. One of the arguments that I get from people of like, well, I don't want to move my client's annuity because it's guaranteed. Look, you know, the only times we can use the terms safe and guaranteed is when we're talking about fixed annuities, T-bills, and CDs. That's it. And if you look at all three of those things, what do they have in common? One is consistent low returns and a lockup period that is going to last quite a long time. That's why they're safe and guaranteed because those companies need to make that money work over a time period so that they can make some type of profit. That's just the way it works. It's a fair deal. It's a fair deal. People love that idea of security. Well, if you think about it, we're just a slight variation off because we can't guarantee. What I mean is, I can't guarantee that somebody's going to die exactly on a certain day. It works exactly the same way. If somebody says, believes, like, you know, if a doctor comes in and says, we think this person is going to pass away in 5 years, guess what? It's just as likely that that person could pass away early than if they passed away late, right? Our studies have shown that at least close to 50% of the people will probably pass before that expectation, while the other 50% will probably live longer. 2, 3 years beyond that, you're looking at about 80% of the people, based on the statistics we've seen, will probably be dead within 2 to 3 years after that time. So you're looking at a decent capsule where you can get a pretty good estimation of when people will pass. Here's where it works. While we're not guaranteeing it, what is your client owning as an asset? They're owning a life insurance policy, right? Where is that policy held? Right now, we have policies that are available through American General. We have policies that are available through Transamerica, New York Life, John Hancock. These are some of the top rated carriers, some of the strongest financial companies in the world. And that is an asset that your client is going to own. So, sure, while we can't sit there and say it's guaranteed because the annuity that your client purchased through ABC company, it might be actually one of those carriers. It might be American General. American General has annuities out there. So your client owns an annuity with American General, and sure, they get that guarantee because the company says we are financially strong, and your client goes, hey, great, love it. Well, the returns are low. At the same time, they could turn around and actually own an American General policy on an 81-year-old with a 4 year life expectancy. While it's not guaranteed, the idea is the asset is invested with the same company that they had an annuity with. So you can see that they're very, very similar. Let's get to agent compensation, okay? Agent compensation, you can earn up to 15% doing this with us, and we'll walk you through what we mean here. If you have a client that, like with John, he has his situation and he has his surrender, whatever he invests with us, you're going to make 15% on that based on surrender size. What we explain here is on the first 5% surrender, you'll make a 15% compensation. If it's over 5%, then it goes down by percentage, meaning that you could make 10% on that surrender. If it's a 10%, surrender situation, you make 10% on the compensation. Okay. So let me walk through how that works. Here's a compensation example. Remember, we talked about John Smith, the $200,000 annuity. 5% surrender here would be about a $10,000 cost, meaning that your investor would be investing $190,000. John Smith is going to take his $190,000. The compensation for you on that would be the full 15%. And that is our what we pay people, even if you have a client who's not doing a surrender annuity. 15% off the street. You have somebody who wants to invest $100,000, you're going to make 15 grand. It's that simple. Compensation's 15% on this is 28,500. Traditional annuity sale is $190,000. You would make best 7% on an annuity sale, making 13,300. By the way, you're putting your client back into an annuity, longer time frame, 10 to 15 year lockup, making them 3 to 4%. Over here, you're making with us 15%, more than 2 times the compensation. Your client is going to earn historically 2 to 4 times more over here working with us. So it's a win-win for you on both sides. Number one is you're making way more money working with us. You're giving them a more realistic solution. You're not just giving them some retread bonus annuity. Let's go over here. You're putting it in something else that has a much more realistic situation of paying them off more money and paying them off faster. Okay. Let's look at this example too. 10% surrender would be about a $20,000 surrender cost. So your client has 180K invested. Compensation would be 10% on this case, which would be $18,000. On $180,000 in a traditional annuity sale at 7% would be about $12,600. So you can see you're still making 1.5% more higher commission over here, still working with us. And at the same time, again, putting your client in something where they have a better chance of making way more money and getting paid out on a faster time horizon. So here's the other part that's really great is reinvestment opportunity. Because there's going to be 3, 4, 5 separate payout opportunities for your client in an estimated 3 to 6 year timeline, those reinvestment opportunities, you get paid full commission on those reinvestments of up to 15%. So let's walk through the example. If you had a client who invested $200,000 and you get a $360,000, let's say, payout over 5 policies, that $360,000 is going to be most likely reinvested with us because your client's happy. They're making good returns, right? So your future commission on this is $54,400 on top of the money you made up front. Here's the issue. I mean, it's not even debatable. When you sell an annuity, pretty much that client is going to be locked into that thing for the next 10 years, right? So if you wrote a $200,000 annuity, you're making $14,000. It's a nice payday up front, but you're not making any more money off that $200,000 for the next 10 years. With us, there's a real opportunity over the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years that over time, your client is going to get paid out on one of these policies. They're going to be extremely happy because they're probably making double-digit returns. They're going to want to reinvest. And when they do, you get paid full commission on that. So that is also another major difference here. Most likely higher returns for your clients, higher commission for you, and the opportunity for them to reinvest, and you get paid full commission on that. So, client qualifications, we accept both traditional and retirement funds. That's right. About 70 to 75% of our clients are investing with their retirement accounts. Yes, they can invest with IRAs, Roth IRAs, old 401ks, retirement funds, and of course, non-qualified funds. They can do cash as well. Outside of California, this is actually, we don't need this. You don't need to be accredited on some of our programs. So just strike that. I apologize that that's there, but you actually just come to me with each of your cases. In California, there needs to be a net worth of about $250,000 net worth. If it's under $1 million, a maximum allocation of about 10%. But don't read too much into that right here. What I want to do is for you to set up an appointment with me, and we're going to walk you through the various programs because we have various programs. One is clients can buy single policies, and we also have a fund, especially in California, that your clients can invest in. So I don't want to get too into the weeds there, but the issue is bring some cases to us. We'll review it with you and tell you if it's something that we can do. Okay. So What are the next steps? Exactly what I just said right there. Let us sit down with you and review client cases. These are cases where you know your clients are not happy. If you can sit down with me, we want to know surrender value, and it doesn't have to be down to the penny. A rough surrender value, a rough accumulated value. Let's see what we can kind of put together a personalized campaign for your client to go out there and help them get out of the annuity they don't want to be in. We create a personalized investment plan, as we explained. Then, either through a three-way phone call or a Zoom meeting with you and the client, I will actually be on that call and we will review the plan they have and then give them the solution and answer any questions. Because that's really the key to selling, right? Is not trying to sell a product, but trying to sell a solution. And this is absolutely a solution. What have we solved? They don't like the low rates of returns they're seeing in their annuities. We're going to show them historically with our track record where we have made much, much more money for our clients than if they stayed in annuity. They're not happy with this 10-year lock-in program. We're going to show them a program where they have a faster time horizon to potentially get paid out multiple times in a much shorter period of time. That is the solution. They don't want to be in the stock market. That's why their money was in the annuity. They like the idea of it not being hit when the economy goes bad. We have a product that is also a non-correlated asset, meaning it is unaffected by the economy. So as you see it, it checks all the boxes for your clients. The next thing after that is you fill out an easy one-page intake form. We work with you to transfer the funds. It's a docu-signed contract, and you're getting your ACH commission paid within 24 hours. It's just that simple. So partner with us. There is no FMO required. We're not working through your FMO. We don't care about what contracts you have with your annuity carriers, your IUL carriers, your LTC carriers. That has nothing to do with us. We are not an insurance carrier. Number one, we are not an FMO. We work directly with you. Okay. You work directly with our team. If you have people that you would like to bring in with you underneath you, we can talk. We also have an override program that we're more than happy to pay you to have other agents come in and work underneath you. Same idea goes there. We set up a Zoom meeting with all three of us. They sign up with us as well to get contracted like you do, and you can make an override on those people. Okay. So I want to thank everybody here. I want to open it up now for discussion. Let me know here in the chat box if there is any questions on this at all. But the main thing here that I want to get across to people is that this is a great alternative for those clients that are not happy about annuities. This is a great solution. I have several agents that are using this plan on a monthly basis, writing maybe one or two deals on annuity replacement every single month. The client is happy and the agent's getting paid, and they're happy because they've provided a realistic solution to people to get them out of those annuities.